the fear of God can transform every relationship in your life. When we approach others with humility, forgiveness, respect, sacrificial love, and integrity, we build relationships that honor God and reflect His character. Welcome to the How Much More stories, where we look at the good in us to see the how much more in God. I am thrilled, so thrilled to dive into today's topic, which is something that touches every one of us: the fear of God in our relationships. How does fearing God affect the way we treat others? What impact does it have on our friendships, family connections, and even our interactions with people we don't know very well? In this episode, we are going to explore why the fear of God is central to building healthy, loving, and respectful relationships. So let's dive right in. The first impact that we see when we fear God in our relationship is that we show humility in our relationship. Let's start by thinking about how the fear of God brings humility in our relationships. When we truly fear God, we recognize that He is holy, right? That He knows us completely and that our value ultimately comes from Him, not from comparing ourselves to others. This perspective can really transform the way we interact with other people. The Apostle Paul perfectly talks about this in Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 to 4. He says that do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of other people. When we fear God, we are reminded that He values every person, and that humility means seeing others with the same respect and love. Imagine how different our relationships would look like if we practice this daily. Rather than fighting to be right or to have the last word, we'd seek to understand others and serve them. Oh my gosh. We'd let go of pride if we do that, which often damages our relationships, and instead act with humility and grace, which builds up relationship. So here's a challenge for you this coming week. The next time you're in a conversation wherein you feel the urge to prove your point or to take control, remember that the fear of God calls us to serve others in humility. So before you say anything, you pause, you listen, and choose words that build up rather than tear down. The second thing we see the fear of God has its impact in our relationship is forgiveness. Forgiveness. When the fear of God influences us in our relationship to forgive. Forgiveness can be incredibly difficult, especially when we've been deeply hurt. But when we fear God, we are reminded of how much He has forgiven us. And that moves us to extend the same forgiveness to others. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 13, Paul writes, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. When we hold on to unforgiveness, it often builds up bitterness and resentment, which creates barrier between us and others, and even between us and God. But when we remember God's mercy toward us, it softens our hearts and helps us release those who hurt us. Forgiveness doesn't mean we excuse wrongs or forget the pain, but it does mean letting go of our right to hold on to hold something over another person. In doing so, we create room for healing, for growth, and deeper relationships. So if there's someone you've been struggling to forgive, take it to God in prayer. ask Him for the strength to let go and trust Him with the process. I hope and pray that throughout the week, whoever that person is, you will approach him or her and say, "Brother, I fear God, so I forgive you." The third thing is this: fear of God and respect for others. The fear of God also teaches us to respect others, seeing them as His beloved creation. You see, every person is created in the image of God. And when we fear Him, we begin to honor the truth in the way we treat others. This is especially important in today's world where differences in opinions and beliefs can lead to harshness or judgment. See, in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21, Paul instructs the believers to submit to one another out of fear, out of reverence for Christ. This idea of mutual respect, grounded in our reverence for God, reminds us that every relationship we have is an opportunity to reflect God's love and kindness. Respect isn't just about what we say, it's about how we listen, how we show patience, how we consider the needs of others. Practically, this can mean taking an extra moment to listen to someone we disagree with, showing kindness even when it's not easy, and treating each person we encounter as valuable. Respect is the foundation of trust in any relationship. And when we fear God, we realize that He's watching how we interact with others. Choosing respect honors God and builds stronger, healthier relationship. The fourth thing we see is this: another key impact of fearing God in our relationships is it calls us to love sacrificially. When we look at Jesus, who perfectly obeyed the Father out of love and fear, we see the ultimate example of sacrificial love. Jesus loved us so much that He laid down His life for us, showing us what it means to put others' needs above our own. See, John chapter 15 verse 13 says, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend." And that He did. While we may not be called to literally lay down our lives, sacrificial love can look like putting our comfort aside. Putting aside our comfort, our time, our preferences for the sake of one of the other. It might mean being there for a friend in need, caring for a family member, or reaching out to someone who feels lonely. When we love sacrificially, we reflect God's love in a way that draws others closer to Him. This kind of love is rare and precious in our world today. And it's something that flows from a heart that truly fears and reveres God. So think about how you can show sacrificial love this week. Maybe it's through a small act of kindness or by going out of your way to help someone in need. And finally, fearing God in our relationships means we're called to live with integrity. When we fear God, we don't just act kindly in public. We honor Him in private as well. Integrity means being honest, trustworthy, and consistent in our words, our actions, no matter who is watching. In Colossians chapter 3 verses 23 to 24, we're reminded whatever you do, it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. When we view our relationships as part of our service to God, it changes everything. Integrity becomes our standard, not because it's easy, but because it honors God. Let's think about this practically. It might mean following through on promises, keeping confidences, or being truthful even when it's convenient. Integrity builds trust, and trust is essential for deep, lasting relationships. When others know they can count on us, we reflect the faithfulness of God in powerful ways. As we wrap up today, I hope you see how the fear of God can transform every relationship in your life. When we approach others with humility, forgiveness, respect, sacrificial love, and integrity, we build relationships that honor God and reflect His character. Here's my challenge to you this week. Pick one of these areas, whether that's humility, forgiveness, respect, love, or integrity, and focus on putting it into practice in your relationships, whether that's with your spouse, with your children, if you need to forgive them, or whether that's with your workmate or your classmate or your neighbor. Pray and ask God to help you grow in that area that you chose, remembering that every relationship is an opportunity to serve and glorify Him. Thank you for being with me today. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might need encouragement in their relationships. Don't forget to subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time as we continue our journey into living with the fear of God. God bless you, and may you have a wonderful day.